Hi, my name is Frankie. Thank you for listening to my mom. I never listen.
Welcome to the podcast, and we're going family style, and I absolutely love it on Nothing But Net. We have the pleasure of being joined by two George Mason greats. One is a 9-month-old named Zayla, and she's absolutely beautiful. Nalani Kaysia is her mom, who's a graduate student this year at George Mason. Nalani, your daughter is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the obvious, without missing the headline here, is here you are playing college basketball, getting your degree, raising your 9-month-old daughter, who today had her 9-month checkup, and you
Yes.
said she did great.
Yes, she did amazing.
How do you do it? Like, how do you balance it?
I will first and foremost give all my props to God because He provided me with a village that helps me do it all. Between my family and my teammates. There we go. That has definitely helped me a lot. Being an athlete alone, you have to have good time management skills, but obviously with adding Zayla, it adds an entirely different dimension because even when you try to have good time management skills, she's a baby, so she might blow out a diaper when you aren't planning for her to blow out a diaper or do something like that. So it's really just been not going with the flow, but just having time management skills, but knowing that things are going to happen. And my village helping me when things do come up, just stepping in and saying, hey, we can help you, or hey, do you need me to do this? And it really helps a lot.
Let's talk about your village a little bit, because I know as a mom with 3 kids that you have to have people that help you. You can't possibly do it all by yourself. Tell us a little bit about the village that you've surrounded yourself with Zayla.
So first and foremost, my family, my mom, my grandparents, they step in all the time. When we go on away trips, that's who she's with. They make sure that if I have exams that I need to study for, my grandma, my mom will step in and say, oh, just bring Zayla, and we'll make sure that she is good for the next couple of days just so you can focus. It helps that since I'm from DC, which is only 35 with no traffic, 35 minutes up the road, I can just drive home and drop her off and pick her up. So that helps a lot. And then it goes to the coaches and my teammates. The coaches tell me all the time, if you need us to step in, like, we can help you in practice. She'll be with our GA, Riley, all the time when she does come to practice. Then my teammates, if they're like, you just need a break or anything, or if you just need somebody to babysit her, we'll gladly babysit her. Like, we love saying they actually fight over who gets to hold her when she comes to practice before we have to start warming up. So it's just more, and then just the overall Mason community just loves seeing her. They're super excited to see her. You said you have 3 kids, so once you have a kid, people are more excited to see the kids than you. So they're like, where's Zayla? Anytime I'm alone, where's Zayla? Where am I? I'm right here. But I love it. I really do love it.
You mentioned your mom. I want to start there because your mom is not just the regular mom. She's a former Duke basketball player for the Women's Basketball Hall of Famer, Gail Gestincourse. Janae Hayes, who was on the 99 team that went to the national championship game. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with your mom, because she's a young mom. You're a young mom. This is pretty cool how this is all working out.
Yes, we actually joke a lot that our lives really mirror each other, just from when we were younger to even as I'm becoming an adult. It's always just been fun. Is not the best word to use because obviously she's a mom, so every interaction isn't gonna always be fun because that's not part of being a parent. But we both got to grow up together in a sense. She as just going into adulthood and being a parent, me just being a kid and growing up. She always just taught me along the way the lessons that she learned. So hopefully that I don't have to learn them the hard way she had to learn them. And just from an athletic standpoint, she could always help me out because she's done the things that I've wanted to accomplish. She's played at the high level. Like you said, she made a national championship game. She got to play overseas and professionally. So it's everything that I want to accomplish, she has. So it's a great role model to have, and just insight into what needs to be done and what I need to do to get there.
So I was so intrigued by your story. And of course, Vanessa Blair Lewis, your head coach, is such a wonderful person and a really good basketball coach. She's had a lot of success. So I went to the Sidwell Friends website because that's where you went to high school. And Sidwell Friends is famous for a lot of famous kids, parents sending their kids there, right? So I was kind of curious about the mission statement and the fundamental, basis that you would have had, not just from your family, your mom, your grandparents, and what Sidwell Friends. But I found this really interesting. Develop tools to live courageously, imaginatively, and joyfully. And I'm watching you with your daughter, and I'm thinking you are really an incredible example of all that Sidwell Friends would want to represent. And then on top of that, you didn't start out playing college basketball. You started out playing volleyball in college, which is absolutely phenomenal. Like, you got this whole path that is so unique. Tell us a little bit about Sidwell Friends and how it prepared you for all the things you're dealing with right now.
Sidwell was honestly amazing. It exposed me to so much on the academic front, and just a wide variety of people that I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. It really helped me just learn, like, in the classroom, but also just life skills. I was able to go overseas for service trips, which gave me a whole new outlook on just the world and how other places function and work, and give me a different outlook of thinking that we might not have in the United States. Just, I think when you're in it, I realize I might have taken some of the stuff for granted, but when I really sit back and look how it has really prepared me for college academically and just life-wise, I really do appreciate it every single day. It's just been extremely helpful.
And volleyball first. I mean, a couple of years at UNC Charlotte, and
Yes.
you had success, and then the switch. Tell us how you ended up going from volleyball to basketball. And thank you for seeing, the bright lights of why you should be a hooper.
So I started out coming out of high school wanting to play both. Some things in my recruitment happened where that wasn't possible, so I ended up going to Charlotte, excited to go to Charlotte to play volleyball. After 3 years at Charlotte, I wanted a change of scenery. And after weighing my options and thinking about where I wanted to transfer to, what I wanted to do, I decided, I was like, actually, I started out my college career wanting to play both, so I'm going to try to see if I can achieve that. So I got in the gym and just worked out super duper hard for a few months, and I got blessed with the opportunity to show the coaches at Mason what I could do, and they gave me an opportunity, and it's just been the best story ever since.
So good. It's so good. So I've often thought the way basketball players train and the way volleyball players train is significantly different. It's too high class or world class athleticism that you need to have to play at the D1 level. So you have to be a great athlete to do both. What is the biggest difference between training to play volleyball, a sport where you don't run, you don't touch anybody, and you can wear a bow in your hair, is like what I like to say, versus what you're doing as one of the top rebounders in the A10, because you have more rebounds than points. So what's the training like? Like, how's it different?
Sorry, I got a little cold. How is it different? I would definitely say, like you said, the running is probably what shocks people the most shocked me the most playing volleyball or switching to basketball, because you condition in any Division I sport, you're going to condition, but
right.
The motor that you need to play basketball, because my mom always emphasized to me having a motor, the motor I would need to play basketball took so much more than what I needed to play volleyball. Volleyball, you might jump 16 times in a possession, which it gets tiring, but at the end of the day, the point will end and you at least get a 30, 45-second break where just take a deep breath and say, okay. Basketball is just constant. At best, if you have one of those teammates that knows that everybody's tired, they might take a foul so everybody can just catch their breath for a second. But there's no real stopping the play. And then physicality, like you mentioned, being able to touch people, that was a huge adjustment for me. I've never been a super surprisingly enough, I've never been a really super physical player. So coming in and people being able to bump you and touch you and push you off the spot, and when you jump, you are getting dislodged. That's a huge adjustment as well. It it definitely takes a mental shift because exactly, Zay.
Yes, I
Yes.
love it.
Um,
It's music to my ears to hear her. I love it.
um, just because as a volleyball player, you need your team. Well, as a basketball player, you also obviously
Yeah.
need your teammates. But in volleyball, three people, everybody has to touch the ball at a different time. Like you can't just pass to yourself, set to yourself, hit the ball over. Like your teammates need to be involved. Whereas basketball, you can have moments where you can just take over a game in all facets, and you still need your teammates 100%. But it just has a different mentality. Basketball players have a different mentality of going to get it more or less. So that's also an adjustment that I noticed.
So, tell me what makes a good rebounder, because you were a player in high school that averaged more rebounds than points, and you're a player in college who averages more rebounds than points. There's a certain mentality that comes with that too, that you're going to the glass all the time, and that's a big part of your role for your team. What's it like to be a high level rebounder? What does it take?
Grit, heart, uh, a motor, 110% a motor. My favorite player, or who I want to like my player comp to be, is honestly Dennis Rodman. I've always said that since I started playing basketball. And it really just his mentality of everything that comes off the rim is mine. I know when I watch the way certain shots are shot, how they're gonna come off the rim. It takes a little bit of studying to
Yeah.
just to recognize those little nuances, but it really just comes down to just having heart and tenacity and the will to say, I'm getting this ball before anybody else.
There is some study that comes with it. I do agree with you. I think it can't just be instinct or rebounding out of your area or having the athletic tools to be able to jump higher or carve out space better than somebody else. You got to be able to read the glass and know who's taking shots too. I'm sure that there's certain teammates for you that every time they shoot it, you go to the glass.
Yes.
There's probably some other teammates that when they shoot it, you don't always have to go.
Yeah. Definitely. I believe in all my teammates. I'm just the safety net. If it happens to not go in, I'm gonna be there for you.
Okay, well, we won't keep you and Zayla much longer because I'm sure she's ready to get going. But I want to ask you about Vanessa Blair Lewis. So the year before she took over the job, they won 3 games. Then they won 10, 16, 23 last year. This year you have 17. You're probably going to win more than 23 based on the team that you have, the schedule that you have remaining. What makes her so good at what she does?
She's a competitor, and the entire coaching staff is full of competitors. So they hate to lose. It's okay. It's okay.
She hates to lose too.
Yeah, she hates to lose too. Sorry, I'm just gonna have somebody take just so we can. Of
Oh, she's fine, and oh, she's so adorable. Thank you for bringing her with you.
course. Um, she and the entire coaching staff is full of competitors, so they put us in the best positions possible for us to win, and they make sure that it's almost completely up to us. They give us all the tools when it comes to scout, when it comes to our preparation. They try to make sure that we have everything necessary to win. And when it comes down to it, if it gets a little tight, their competitive nature is going to come out, and they make sure that if we're not showing that grit, they're going to pull it out of us for sure.
So I'm curious from your perspective because Vanessa's husband is a top D1 men's basketball official. I work in the men's game, so I see him quite often, and he is very proud of his wife. I will tell you that. But I want to know how she handled the officials during the game because that's not always an easy. Sometimes it can be really challenging.
You know, I think the officials are almost always the coach's number one enemy and vice versa. But she handles herself like any other coach would, honestly. Some days she is really on them, and you just hear them say, Vanessa. And she's like, but so and so. And she'll have a point, obviously, because she goes home and hears about refereeing all night. But she also recognizes that being a ref is a hard job and it's a hard task. And she recognizes that everybody's human. So as much as the competitive spirit might come out in a certain moment, she'll take a step back and say, okay, like this is people do make mistakes, even if I don't agree with it. Like they're trying their best, just like we're trying our best. So we just have to keep it going and control what we can control.
You guys in the A10 are in the top of the standings along with a couple of other teams. This is a really good league this year. It's a multiple bid league. There should be more than one team that gets into the NCAA tournament. You guys played in the postseason last year in the WBIT, the new tournament. I'm curious, like, how good have you seen the league this year? What are the differences maybe that you've encountered from previous teams? And, you know, Kennedy Harris, I mean, like, she's a baller. Like, tell us something about the league that you've experienced this year.
There has definitely been a shift, I would say, across the league. Just the teams. There have been teams that are historically good that are still at the top of the league, but then there are other ones that may have been good, but then fallen off, but then they're climbing back up to being at the top, like the Daytons, the Fordhams, schools like that that have a history of being very good, but late, like the last couple years, have been struggling a little bit. But they're back on being at the top of their game, and it's just interesting because every team has their specific style of play that they think is going to win the A10 and help them cruise through the A10. Well, cruise, I use that word lightly because everybody recognizes that the A10 is very competitive. So every team is comprised the way their coach thinks that will be the difference or be the mark that makes their team that is at the top at the end of the day. And as to Kennedy, Kennedy has just been hooping. She's just been going out there playing free, playing her game and confident in herself. I could tell over the summer that that's where her head was at. She's been proving it day in and day out. And the thing with Kennedy is she'll give it to you 110% on the defensive end too. So if she's not hitting shots, she will make sure that the person she is checking is having a tough night. So she's just an all-around hooper.
Nalani, if you were going to tell us, and if somebody had not seen your team play, what are 2 or 3 things that you would want them to recognize about your team if they came to the gym to see George Mason for the first time?
We're going to get to the paint. We are going to play extremely tough defense, and it's going to be a long night for our opponent. So those
I
are
love it. I love your spirit. I love the incredible joy that you bring to your teammates. I love how you share Zayla with everyone, and she's absolutely beautiful. We love your story. We love spending time with you. Thank you for carving out some of your time today in your busy schedule, balancing everything that you've got going on.
Thank you so much for having me. It really means a lot.
Nalani Kaysia from George Mason. Such a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Nothing but net. Thanks, Nalani.
Thank you.